A very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all the attendees. My presentation today is about food-grade lubricants market. Food safety at all times has been a matter of concern for food processing industry because food has a direct impact on human health. And in today's globalized world of complex supply chains, also especially in keeping in mind the health impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, there has been increased consciousness and awareness and focus towards health and safety. As a result, it becomes quite important for food manufacturing companies to ensure the safety of the food that they are manufacturing. While there are different ways to do so, using food-grade lubricants is one of the many ways in which that they can ensure the safety of the products that they manufacture. And my presentation today is about these lubricants. So the presentation is based on our recently published report titled Food-Grade Lubricants Analysis of Major Markets. This report is divided into 3 sections. The first section is the executive summary, which provides an overview of the food-grade lubricants market in the select regions or the countries that we have covered. And then we have another section which we have named as product review. This section is dedicated to the food-grade lubricants types, the descriptions, specifications, regulations, and the pricing. And then we have the third section, which includes profiles of the major country markets or regions that we have covered in this study. So we have a chapter dedicated to each of these regions. We have covered, as you can see from the slide, a total of 5 countries and 1 region, because we think that these are the major consumers of food-grade lubricants. The base year of the study is 2020, and it includes a 5-year forecast. Overall, the study provides analysis of market trends, market size, growth drivers, restraints, regulations, opportunities, and challenges. It also lists the major suppliers that are active in this market and their market shares. Let's move to the next slide, which is about our research methodology. Klein & Company is a leading market research and management consulting firm with a global presence. Klein has been publishing syndicated and custom reports on petroleum downstream specialty products like lubricants, base oils, waxes for a long time now. And over the years, we have developed an analysis approach which is based heavily on primary research, combined with secondary research and our in-house modeling and analysis. For this study also, like all our studies, we conducted a series of interviews with the industry experts, the stakeholders, for example, the lubricant marketers, especially food-grade lubricant marketers, their distributors. We also spoke to NSF, and the full form of NSF is National Sanitation Foundation. It is one of the most respected testing, auditing, and certification organization that classifies safety standards for food-grade lubricants under its non-food compounds program. And we also spoke to the end users of food-grade lubricants to get a holistic view of this market. We also conducted secondary research, which includes going through websites of lubricant suppliers, trying to understand their products, how they define food-grade lubricants, and what exactly are food-grade lubricants. We also referred to some of our in-house data that we have built over the years, non-confidential data. So that's all about the research methodology. Next, now the question comes to our mind is what exactly are food-grade lubricants? And before I define food-grade lubricants, I would like to understand from the audience what they think about food-grade lubricants or what food-grade lubricants are made of. So I would like to invite Vera to do a quick poll.
Here we go. I just posted it and I think everybody can see it. What are food grade lubricants made from? Okay, one more moment. Okay, we have over 70% of participants at this moment, and I'm ending the poll. And Sushmita, you can take a look at the results and comment on that.
All right. So it looks like the attendees are quite well informed, and because highest percentages of all three, and that's the case. While mineral oils are being used, synthetic oils are also being used, and in some countries we also see use of plant-based oils as well. So moving to next slide. All right, so this is how we at Klein have defined food grade lubricants. The definition. Food grade lubricants are a special category of industrial lubricants that are considered safe for incidental contact with food and other products consumed or ingested by human beings or animals when used in equipment or machinery that manufacture, pack, treat, process, and transport these products. So while this is a very comprehensive definition of food grade lubricants, but in simple word, what it really means is that these lubricants, when used in a food manufacturing facility or any facility that produces or manufactures a product that are consumed by human beings or animals, and if in those facilities, if due to some accident, the lubricant comes in contact with the finished product, then it is desirable to use food grade lubricants, as these lubricants would not have detrimental health hazard if contaminated food is eventually sold in the market and consumed by human beings. I would like to draw your attention towards the terminology incidental contact. This is important because in an ideal world, lubricants, whether it is food grade or non-food grade, should never come in contact with food. But it's only in case of accidents or some incident happens, then it's better to use, it's like a precautionary measure, and it's better to use food grade lubricants. Now, the question that comes to mind is how these lubricants are different from any other lubricant. The difference lies in formulation. These lubricants are made of some of the highest quality, purest base oils and additives. And also there are restrictions on the types and the treat levels of additives used in manufacturing these lubricants. So next question is then how does one identify whether a lubricant is food grade or not? And this brings into the picture NSF classification. NSF is a US-based non-profit organization. It has a program under which it classifies lubricants into different categories based on their possibility of contact with food. And out of the 5 categories that it has, 4 can be considered as food grade, and the 5th one is non-food grade. The lubricants that are considered safe for incidental contact are classified as H1, and heat transfer fluids that are considered safe for incidental contact are classified as HT1. H3 and 3H are 2 more categories. These are not really lubricants, but they are kind of oils that are used for other purposes. For example, cleaning and preventing rust on hooks, trolleys. H3 category is used, and 3H are used on grills, loaf pans, boning benches, etc., to prevent food from adhering during processing. And the fifth category is H2, which are the non-food grade lubricants, and they are used in areas where there is no possibility of food ever coming in contact with lubricant. So for a lubricant company that is interested in marketing its product as food grade, it is almost kind of mandatory to get its product certified by NSF, because right now it is the most respected and reputed organization, and the end users of food grade lubricants require their suppliers to have their products certified by NSF. Now let's have a quick look at the evolution of the safety standards regarding food. While food processing companies have had their own protocols for food safety, the first formal regulation of lubricants in the food processing industry is said to date back to 1970s. When the US Department of Agriculture approved lubricants that can be used in meat and poultry plants on the basis of the guidelines that were set by US FDA, Food and Drug Administration, in the Code of Federal Regulations. USDA issued a rating system for lubricants, and the lubricants that can come in contact with food or are were considered safe for incidental contact were classified as USDA H1, and no contacts were classified as USDA H2, and we still have the same classification. Later, NSF took over the certification of food grade lubricants from the USDA. And over the years, there have been more standards and regulations that have come up for the food processing industry. In 2000, the Global Food Safety Initiative was created to define food safety requirements throughout the food supply chain. And in 2006, the International Organization of Standardization created a new standard, ISO 21469, which is applicable to the food grade lubricant manufacturing companies. So now why these are important? Because some of the most advanced food manufacturing companies, not only food, but personal care and packaging material manufacturing companies, require their suppliers of lubricants to have NSF classified lubricants, as well as at times ISO certification also for the facilities that manufacture food grade lubricants. And in addition to these, sometimes if a company is exporting their products out of their home country to a different region, for example, if in the Middle East, then they would require their lubricant supplier to have a halal certified lubricants as well. Moving to next slide. At Client, we have estimated the food grade lubricants market in these 6 countries or regions at about 100 to 150 kilotons. And of all the regions, it's Europe which has the largest share. This is because Europe is the home to some of the leading food and beverage manufacturing companies and personal care products manufacturing companies. And also the leading food grade lubricant suppliers have a presence in this region. Europe is followed by United States, which has stringent regulations from the FDA. As a result, food grade lubricants are taken quite seriously. Then we have Japan and South Korea, followed by India and China, which have the smallest market. It is surprising to find that India and China, which are among the top 3 lubricant consuming countries, have a very food grade lubricants. This is due to low quality consciousness, price sensitivity, and lack of enforcement of health and safety regulations. And also the food industry in these countries are not as mechanized as we find in Western world. Now let's look at the pie chart on the right-hand side. So this pie chart shows a breakup of food-grade lubricants by NSF classification. And most food-grade lubricants are NSF H1 certified, and which is obvious because this is the main food-grade certificate, which is allowed for incidental contact in food processing, food packaging manufacturing, personal care products manufacturing, etc. Now moving to next slide. This slide shows the breakup of food grade lubricants by lubricant types and base stock types. From the first pie chart, you can see that hydraulic oil is the largest product category because a large portion of equipments used in the food processing industry is operated using hydraulic systems, which require use of food grade lubricants. And also hydraulic systems are more prone to leakages. So companies prefer using food grade lubricants. Gear oils protect gears in extreme high and low temperatures in a variety of gearboxes and other critical applications across various end use applications. Next, we have chain oil, which are mainly used in automatic lubrication systems for baking ovens. They're used in skate chains in bread and bun baking ovens, stentor and tented chains, and other high temperature oven chains. I would like to mention here that chain oil is a product category which is not used as much, it's not used in all the countries that we have covered. The reason being that in some countries, people prefer using a multi-purpose lubricant rather than using a chain oil specifically for chains. After chain oil, we have grease. Food grade greases are commonly used on valves and seals where product may come in contact with food, and also in internal moving parts that require greases for lubrication. Then we have compressor oil and process oils. Process oils are not really being used as a process oil, but as a lubricant because they are being used for making, they are being used as, essentially actually white oils are used and some additives are added. And then you get a finished product, which can be used either as a gear oil or as a hydraulic fluid or as a chain oil. So here the process oil is doing the job of lubrication. Again, here process oil is actually a multifunctional lubricant. It should be noted that in this industry, many suppliers offer multifunctional food grade lubricants that can be used for different types of applications instead of having a variety of food grade lubricants. Next, we have a breakup of food grade lubricants by the base oil type. Food grade lubricants can be divided into two major categories. These are mineral oil based and synthetics. But they can also be formulated using bio-derived base stocks as well. I would like to mention here that sometimes people have this misconception that food grade lubricants are made of edible material because of the term food attached to it. But that's not the case. Food grade lubricants are not edible. They are just like any other industrial lubricants made of base stocks and additives. Even if bio-based base stocks are used or plant oil-based oils are used, it's not necessary that these oils are edible. Mineral oil-based food grade lubricants are priced lower compared to synthetic oil-based counterparts, which as a result, they have a higher share as compared to synthetics. And among the three types of mineral-based base stocks, that is group 2, group 3, and group 1, it is group 2 that has the highest share because Group 2 compared to Group 3 has lower price, and compared to Group 1 has better quality. It's only in Europe that we find the use of Group 1 based lubricants. Otherwise, in other countries, we've not really seen much use of Group 1 based lubricants. When we look at the market of food grade lubricants, we also find that synthetic base stocks are being used, and PAO is the largest category, followed by PHE. There are all other types of synthetic base stocks as well, like polyol esters, PIBs, and silicones, but PAO has the highest share. And synthetics are mostly used in high temperature, high pressure kind of applications, or the applications where the lubricant life is, extension of lubricant life is very important. The reason why PAOs are consumed more than PHEs because PAOs are miscible with mineral oils. So it's easier for any facility to move from, if a facility wants to move from mineral oil based lubricants to synthetics, it's easier for them to do so. And this would not have any adverse impact on the lubricant or the equipment. Moving to next slide. This is about the applications of food grade lubricants, and food and beverage is the largest application, which is obvious. And within food processing, there are different sub-sectors or industries. For example, bakery, sugar manufacturing, meat processing, poultry processing, seafood, dairy processing, chocolate, confectionery, etc. Of all these segments, it's the bakery which has the highest demand for food grade lubricants. Within the beverage manufacturing, food grade lubricants are used in breweries, bottled water manufacturing, soda, alcohol, juices, energy drinks, etc. Food grade lubricants are also used in packaging industry, especially in the US and Europe, because the packaging manufacturing companies that manufacture products for or packaging material for food industry, they are required to make sure that their products are not contaminated with lubricant, or even if they are, then those lubricants do not cause any harm to human health. That's why they prefer using food grade lubricants. Pharmaceutical applications include bottling machines, laboratory equipment, tablets, mixers, etc. Next, you have agriculture and livestock manufacturing, which mainly includes use of food grade lubricants in the industrial production, treatment, and preservation of animal feed and other products that are consumed by animals. And it's a significant industry in terms of its share of food grade lubricants in Europe, whereas in other regions, it's not that important. All other applications include cleaning equipment, filling equipment, food machinery manufacturing, and food grade lubricant blending. Moving to next slide. Now let's see how this industry was affected by the pandemic COVID-19. While the overall lubricants market was severely affected, the food grade lubricants market was not negatively impacted as such on an overall basis. This is because the major consumer of food grade lubricants is food industry, and this is an industry which meets a basic need of humankind. So you can say that food industry is kind of a recession-proof industry. We see that from the bar chart on the left-hand side, we see that the market increased in all the regions except in Europe. This is because the market in Europe is already quite mature. And in 2020, the European countries were some of the first countries to be affected by the pandemic and to introduce strict measures of social, lockdown measures and restrictions on business activities, etc. And within Europe, it's the United Kingdom, which was affected the most, and UK was more affected than other countries due to economic uncertainties resulting from not only the pandemic, but also the Brexit process. And also because UK is a large importer of raw materials. So UK's demand for food grade lubricant decreased significantly, which brought down the overall region's demand for food grade lubricants. When we look at the market in terms of end-use applications, we find that all the industries grew except for animal feed. This is because this is a significant consumer of food grade lubricants in Europe, and in Europe the overall demand decreased, so the demand in this industry also decreased. Moving to next slide. Now let's have a look at the competitive landscape. We can say that the food grade lubricants market of these 6 countries, regions is kind of consolidated because top 5 players account for 60% of the total market share. However, when we look at the individual markets or countries, then that's not the case, because there are a large number of small local or region specific players across various countries. Within the major oil companies, we see only ExxonMobil and TotalEnergies as the leading suppliers. Other companies like Shell and Chevron are not actively participating in this market. Shell sold its Casida brand of food grade lubricants to Fuchs many years ago, and Chevron had also sold its food grade lubricants business to Fuchs. As a result, Fuchs has now become the largest supplier globally, and it is followed by Kluber, which is known for its specialty greases. And this company has over 60 years of experience in manufacturing and selling food grade lubricants. JAX is another company, it is a US-based company, which has a significant share in the US food grade lubricants market. And this company is also exporting out of US in other parts of the world. Now let's look at the food grade lubricants market's value chain and try to understand how different market participants affect the lubricant buying behavior of the end user. So first of all, we have the certification agencies. They have a high degree of influence because, for example, NSF classifies lubricants into different, has a classification system for food grade lubricants. And the end users of food grade lubricants demand companies to have NSF certificates. Next, we have regulatory bodies. Food processing facilities, pharmaceutical or personal care products manufacturing facilities are generally under strict regulations of regulatory bodies in most of the countries. And these regulatory bodies ensure that certified and approved products are used and processes are adopted. However, these regulatory bodies do not have a direct influence on the usage of food grade lubricants, but the processes that they require companies to follow results in usage of food grade lubricants. So we think that their influence is somewhere medium to high. Lubricant suppliers are very important. They ensure lubricants meet the equipment performance and requirements as well as are food safe. They can influence the end users, they can educate the end users. So again, they also have medium to high degree of influence. Distributors and dealers, they don't really have much influence. They can probably offer a better price to the end user to make them consider a particular brand over the other. And finally, the end user has the final say. But again, the final decision of the end user depends on the other industry stakeholders like certification agencies, regulatory bodies, lubricant suppliers, distributors, and dealers. Moving to next slide. Now let's look at the future outlook for the food grade lubricants market over the next 5 years. We think that the overall market would grow at a rate of somewhere between 4 to 5% over the next 5 years, which is a very good growth rate, especially when we compare with the growth rate for other industrial lubricants. On this slide, I have provided growth rates for food grade lubricants market by country or region in the first bar chart. Then by product type in the second bar chart, and then by application in the third bar chart. When we look at this market in terms of regions, we find that India and China are anticipated to witness the fastest growth through the forecast period. Their market for food grade lubricants can potentially double over the next 5 years. And this would be driven by growing consumer awareness, expected strengthening of enforcement of regulations, and also due to rise in the number of food and beverage processing plants. But it is important to note here that in terms of absolute volume added, it is US and Japan which are going to add the significant volumes over the next 5 years. When we look at the market in terms of product categories, we find that all the major food grade lubricant types, including process oil, compressor oil, greases, chain, hydraulic oil, are expected to report good growth between 4 to 7%. But process oil is anticipated to witness the highest growth because it is the leading product category in China, and where it is expected to witness strong growth. And also because these oils can be used, as I mentioned earlier, they are kind of multifunctional oils. So they can be used in multiple application areas. When we look at the market in terms of application, all the industries are expected to witness growth in their demand for food grade lubricants. But it is the pharmaceutical and the personal care which will witness the highest growth. This is coming from strong growth in India and China. Lastly, we look at the market opportunities and challenges. So first, I'll talk about the opportunities. So overall, it's a 100 to 150 kilotons market. So it's a small market. And also, as we saw that in India and China, the market is very small. So we can say that, the potential of this market has not been fully tapped in some countries, which provides strong growth opportunities for both existing and new suppliers. There is huge potential to increase sales of food grade lubricants, not just in the food industry, but also in other industries like pharmaceutical manufacturing, personal care, packaging, etc. The other area of opportunity is coming from the growing international trade of food products. So we live in a globalized world where these food manufacturing companies have transnational presence. So they're no more manufacturing locally, or products are being consumed locally. So as a result, it becomes very important for them, as well as the suppliers of the lubricants to them, to make sure to take care of hygiene and dietary regulations of other countries. So it becomes important to understand that there are countries that require halal and kosher certified lubricants. Next, we have the other good thing about this industry is that since these products are priced higher than normal industrial lubricants, suppliers can earn good profit. And also it's an industry which is more or less recession proof, as we saw from the year 2020. Now let's have a look at the challenges. The biggest challenge in this industry is the lack of proper knowledge regarding the use of food grade lubricants, and their high price also pose a challenge and takes a lot of effort on the part of the lubricant suppliers in finding new customers. At times they have to poach from existing suppliers. Any company interested in entering this market will have to invest in not only in product development, but also will have to make sure that they have the right certificates, whether it is NSF certificates or halal certificate or ISO or kosher, to be able to market their products in this industry. So all this adds up to a significant production cost for a lubricant supplier. So they have to make sure that they're able to balance cost and quality, because if the price is too high, this would demotivate customers, especially in developing countries. So yeah, there are certain challenges, but despite the challenges, it is a promising industry because all the end-use industries that use food-grade lubricants are expected to grow, which would further drive demand for food-grade lubricants. Whether it's food processing or pharmaceuticals or personal care or packaging, all these industries would grow over the next 5 years, especially the growth would be quite robust in the developing countries. And finally, the growing food safety awareness, increasing stringency in regulations, and the cost of non-compliance. These three factors are driving the market for food-grade lubricants. So overall, it's a promising market. With this, I would like to end my presentation today. Hope you found it informative and useful. If you are interested in knowing more about the study and subscribing to the study, you can contact our sales and marketing team. Their contact details are provided on the slide. Thank you.
Thank you, Sushmita. It was great. There were quite a few questions, but they were all about the abbreviations and so on. So I actually think I was able to respond to all of them.